Dereck Lively calling out Rudy Gobert. We're going to dive into it here on Mavericks Today. Harrison Graham and Jeffrey Cooperstein with you. Our good friend Theo Pinson's latest podcast episode. Dereck Lively was on it, and Coop, he appeared to take a shot at one Rudy Gobert. What do you make of all this?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I mean, I don't know why this came up, but they were just talking about contracts and whatnot and how contracts can kind of influence how the game ends up going. And let's just dive right into what they said. So Theo started it by saying the Mavs played the Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals, and there's zero reason Rudy Gobert should have been on the court. And Lively responded and said zero, and then Pinson said, "But you're playing him $40 million a year. You better get your ass out there and figure it the F out." And Lively said, and he didn't. So Lively's basically saying what we all saw in that Rudy Gobert was unplayable in the Western Conference Finals.
I mean, is Rudy Gobert going to be kind of the next Andre Drummond, who I actually like, whereas at one point he was viewed as like a top center in the league, but like overnight, like he's not getting another big contract.
I wouldn't think so. And this whole exchange kind of sent NBA Twitter ablaze. There were some that were saying Rudy Gobert is a future Hall of Famer, which may be true because he is a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. And there are others saying...
Which is disgusting, by the way.
Exactly. And there are others saying just that he's one of the most overrated players in the game today, and I'm in that camp as well. Here's what he did in the Western Conference Finals against the Mavs. 12 and 7.5, less than a block a game. In one of the games, he didn't even play in the fourth quarter. He kind of got played off the floor once again by Luka and the Mavs. He's a guy that in the postseason, he is extremely limited because he doesn't space the floor enough. And when you get him switched onto a guard that has some sort of mobility, he's going to beat you.
Dude, we saw in the Olympics where his game translates much better to FIBA. They benched him.
They benched him too.
France benched him. They were like, yeah, you're not good enough. I got to tell you, this thing... I feel like the narrative around this guy has always like been split. I don't think it's really split anymore.
No.
I think most people are like, I don't know, man. He's a problem. He's not very good. His defense does not translate to the postseason. If you get him on a switch, he can be hunted. He's not even like a premier shot blocker anymore. So like, how is he winning all these depoys? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. And I do think Dereck Lively outplayed him, even in one last game in the finals because he had to miss Game 4 due to injury. He was 100% from the field in the Western Conference Finals. And you would think that, the Defensive Player of the Year would be able to stop at least one shot. Block and a half a game.
As Dereck Lively said, he didn't.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves, and the results speak for themselves. Lively thoroughly outplayed Rudy Gobert in that series.
He also held his own better on switches on the perimeter.
Yeah, I mean, look, you and I think Lively is clearly the better player overall. There are some that would still say it's Rudy Gobert, but given the contract and given the upside Dereck Lively has, I'm easily going to take Lively over Rudy. And now we have some unexpected NBA offseason beef, which we kind of need at this time when there's nothing going on.
I mean, think about this as you guys answer this question, better player Lively or Gobert. I guess you could debate who's actually better currently, but one guy's arrow is pointing up, the other's pointing down, and when you factor in the contract, I don't think there's a single GM that would take Gobert over Lively. But think about this from Minnesota's standpoint. When they traded all that they traded from Gobert, what did everybody say? Oh, they'll give this a try for 1 year, then they'll have to trade Karl Anthony Towns. I think if they split them up, they're getting Gobert out of there.
Gone first.
Like,
Towns definitely has the higher trade value, so they could probably get more for him. But if you're the Minnesota GM and you're, trying to pick one to keep, you would pick Towns.
And who would have thought that, considering the narrative around Towns, which I still don't think is like great.
Yeah.
But compared to Rudy, like no one even likes Rudy. That's the thing,
his
too.
Teammates don't even like him. It was clear by
Donovan Mitchell was like, get me away from this guy.
And they ended up trading both of them. Yeah, man, the Rudy Gobert stock has dropped significantly over the past year and a half, 2 years. It's not a good look for him, and I'm tired of the narrative that he's still this great player. I can't believe the media voted him Defensive Player of the Year once again. Just watch the game. Use your eyes.
He's
That's
just not that good. You know what is good? Prize Picks.
Oh, yeah.
The best daily fantasy sports app that exists in North America is Prize Picks. And with football being back, first game of the year tomorrow, Prize Picks is is back as well, and this is the time to create an account. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Special new deal, by the way, when you use code CLNS. Sign up today, and you'll get $50 instantly once you play for just $5. So your first $5 entry, you are going to get an additional $50 into your account. Doesn't matter if you win it, you will still get that $50. We got some season-long plays for basketball if you don't want to dive into football just yet. 3-player entry here, more on the Luka, Steph, and Victor Wembanyama points per game for the entire season. So obviously the whole season has to play out before you could potentially cash in on that one. But you can do nightly games for different sports. You can cross over sports within your entries. 2 to 6 players, choose more or less on the stat projections. Like I said, football games getting rolling here. Lots to dive into. prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS for that $50 bonus after you play for $5 for the first time. By the way, for you football fans, Caleb Williams, more or less half a passing yard. You're halfway home to a win right there. Pair that with something else, and you can make some chad. So get going today, prizepicks.com/CLNS. All right, Coop, let's kind of parlay this and talk about Dereck Lively moving forward. Is a big year coming? And we've kind of alluded to this on other episodes that Dereck Lively, I think out of every player on this roster, has a chance to improve the most between year 1 and year 2. We saw the improvements just throughout the season.
Absolutely.
Could he take that next big step here?
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking and looking around at some numbers, and Basketball Reference does this thing where they project the stats for the next season, and here's what they have Lively projected.
It's a big jump.
14.5 points, 10.5 boards, 2 blocks, and 71% from the field. If he does this, I'm pretty confident he'd be an all-star, so I think this would be quite a bit of a jump for Lively to take, but I really do believe the sky is the limit for him, and I think he is a future potential all-star player. He's such an important part of this core for the Mavs going forward. The Mavs love having a big man on the court at all times, and with Lively out there, who I think is going to be the starting center this year over Daniel Gafford, the athleticism he provides on both ends and just the overall energy that he provides, he's a huge part of this team going forward, and there is no question about that.
So just to add context, he averaged this past year 8.8 points, 6.9 rebounds per game, and he played how many minutes per game? 23.5. That's a big jump to 14.5 and over 10 rebounds. That's that's almost 6 more points per game. That's almost 4 more rebounds per game. And I don't think his minutes are going to go from 23.5 to like 30, 32. I think they'll go from 23.5 to 26, 28, and Gafford plays the other 20, 22. But, I mean, if he jumps that much, like, I think he's more of like 11, 12 points, 8, 9 rebounds.
I thought that was a little aggressive from Basketball Reference.
If he's 14.5 and almost 11,
he's an all-star. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, a fringe all-star at least. So I think he could be that at some point. But like I also just think like the Mavs are going to spread the ball out quite a bit, and Luka and Kyrie are going to score a lot. Clay's going to get a lot of shots. So I'm more of looking at this kind of like we saw it in the postseason last year. Can Lively and Gafford combine to average more than 20 points per game, more than 15 rebounds a game, and more than, I don't know, 3.5 blocks per game between the two? Like, I'm more looking at the combined stats, but, man, if Lively takes a big leap like that, you got to be feeling pretty good about what you got here.
You just hit it right on the head. We saw last season, if Lively and Gafford combine for more than 20 points, the Mavs don't lose ball games.
Yeah,
so
we saw that in the playoffs. Yeah.
If they continue that trend, then I feel very good about where this team is, especially with the centers. When Dwight Powell's your third center and not your 1 or 2, you feel a lot better about things, that's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Show some love. Like the video if you're fired up about this center combination. Coop and I certainly are. And we can't wait to see these guys back in action. And getting closer, Coop, day by day. Less than 4 weeks away from Media Day and training camp, which will start out in Las Vegas. Preseason opener on October 7th. And then just looking at a quick calendar, just about a month and a half, 7 weeks or so from the season opener. It's crazy that we're already back.
We are getting closer and closer, and I can't wait to do some watch parties with you guys hanging out, watching the Mavs. It's going to be a really fun season. I think this team's going to be really good. They're going to challenge at the top of the Western Conference, and we're just getting closer and closer. I can't wait to start talking about some real hoops.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So keep us locked in here to Mavericks Today. Hit that subscribe button. We are so close to 30,000 subscribers. Appreciate everybody who has already. We'll see you guys soon here on Mavericks Today.